You're about to hear something so insane, so outrageously evil that when I first told people, they laughed. They thought I was exaggerating. I wasn't. A $47 fine. That's all it took. $47. And because of it, I lost the home I lived in for 19 years, the home where my children took their first steps, the home I sweated blood to pay off. Gone. And the woman behind it? She smiled at me during the auction. My name is David Mercer. I moved into Pinecrest Estates in 2004, a quiet, gated neighborhood in suburban Georgia. Nice lawns, friendly waves, the kind of place you bust your back your whole life trying to get into. What I didn't know was that Pinecrest Estates had a secret weapon, the Pinecrest HOA, run with an iron fist by its president of 11 years, Karen Whitfield. Karen wasn't just the HOA president. She was the judge, the jury, and as I would eventually learn, the executioner. She decided what was beautiful, she decided what was acceptable, and most dangerously, she decided who belonged. The day I painted my shutters dark green instead of the approved forest green, a difference so small you needed a color chart to see it, Karen Whitfield declared war. She issued a $47 fine. I ignored it. Not out of arrogance. I just didn't think a $47 fine could destroy a man's entire life. I was catastrophically wrong. What Karen understood, and what I didn't, was that in the state of Georgia, an HOA can place a lien on your property for unpaid fines, and a lien left long enough can trigger foreclosure. She knew this the day she wrote that first $47 ticket. I'm convinced of it now. Within 3 months, that $47 became $340. Late fees, administrative processing fees, a formal fee. I'm not making that up. They charged me to tell me I owed them money. I fired off a check for the full $304. Karen rejected it, said it had to be a certified bank check only, per Section 14, subsection C of the Pinecrest HOA bylaws, a rule nobody had ever enforced before. Not once. I went back and confirmed that with 4 of my neighbors personally. I resubmitted with a certified check. Karen held it for 31 days before processing it, just long enough for another late fee cycle to trigger. Now I owed $612. I attended the next HOA board meeting furious and ready to fight. What I didn't know walking into that room was that Karen had already replaced 2 neutral board members with her sister-in-law and her neighbor. The vote on everything was now 3-1. Always. The one dissenting vote belonged to a retired schoolteacher named Mr. Elroy Baines, the only honest man on that board, and Karen made his life miserable for it. If this story is already making your blood boil, like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe so you never miss these eye-opening stories. Drop in the comments where you're watching from. We've got viewers joining us from all over the world, and we love to see it. By year 2, the fines had compounded to $11,400. $11,400 born from a $47 shutter color violation. I hired an attorney. He reviewed the bylaws, shook his head slowly, and said 7 words I will never forget. David, they did everything technically legally. Technically. Legally. That combination of words should terrify every homeowner in America. My attorney sent a negotiation letter. Karen responded through the HOA's lawyer, a man named Preston Holt, who, as I later discovered, was Karen's college roommate's husband. The conflict of interest was breathtaking. Preston countered that I now owed $14,200 after legal fees were added to my balance per Section 22 of the bylaws. My own legal fees were draining me simultaneously. I was bleeding from both sides. Then the foreclosure notice arrived on a Tuesday morning. I sat on my porch steps and read it 3 times because my brain refused to process it. The auction date was set for 60 days out. I scrambled. I begged. I called every legal aid office in the county. I refinanced what little equity I had left just to mount a court challenge. The judge ruled the HOA had followed due process. I was out of road. The auction came. My home sold for $300,000, a property worth $410,000. I was entitled to the surplus after the HOA debt was cleared. When I finally got the buyer's name in the paperwork, I had to sit down. The buyer was a shell company called Pinecrest Property Holdings, LLC. Registered owner, Karen Whitfield's husband, Richard Whitfield. She hadn't just destroyed me. She had planned to profit from my destruction from day one. I had nothing left. No home, no savings. A storage unit with 19 years of memories stuffed inside it. But I had one thing Karen never counted on. I had time, I had rage, and I had Mr. Elroy Baines. Elroy had been quietly documenting everything for 3 years. Every rigged vote, every manipulated bylaw amendment, every backdoor conversation he'd witnessed. He had dates, emails he'd been CC'd on, and a recorded phone call, legally obtained, where Karen explicitly discussed how flipping foreclosed Pinecrest properties through Richards LLC would finally make this HOA worth running. Elroy handed me a manila folder that changed everything. I took it straight to the Georgia Attorney General's office, the FBI's Financial Crimes Division, and an investigative journalist at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. The story broke on a Thursday. By Friday, Richard Whitfield's LLC was under federal investigation for predatory foreclosure fraud. By the following Monday, 3 other former Pinecrest homeowners had come forward with near identical stories, all fined into foreclosure, all losing their homes to shell companies quietly connected to the Whitfields. Karen resigned from the HOA board via a 2-line email that same week. Preston Holt surrendered his law license pending a state bar investigation. The federal case ultimately forced the Whitfields to liquidate Pinecrest Property Holdings LLC, and a court ordered my home returned to me with full restitution plus damages totaling $290,000. I moved back in on a Saturday morning. I repainted those shutters dark green, not forest green. Dark green. Exactly how I always wanted them. If this story shook you, and it should, like this video right now, share it with every homeowner you know, and subscribe because these stories are happening in neighborhoods across the country and people need to wake up. And drop a comment telling us where in the world you're watching from. You never know. You never know, might be watching too. Stay informed, stay protected, and never let a $47 fine go unanswered again.